We're live. Oh, I got it on loop. Not the loop, not the loop. Make it go twice. Loop. That's the intro beat. Back from commercial, back from rehearsal, back from the dead, back from the murders. Welcome to Sober Sunday on Memorial Day Monday. Welcome to Sober Sunday. Even though it's Memorial Day Monday. Kind of just gonna wing it right now. Had a few possible topics or whatever, but I think this is just gonna be kind of a recap. Trying out a new workflow. See how this work flows. See, I got the record's looking a little janky over here. Got our little system set up. Got our little background still functioning. Got a couple pieces of light. I'm gonna try to be a little more aware of the audio. A lot of people, would listen as an audio file, so I want to be a little more aware of the audio. Keep my voice going. On the past episodes, I might have been tinkering with the computer or doing this or that, and didn't pay proper attention to the audio. To people that's just listening, that's not having that visual aspect. So hopefully I can do a little better with that. I can't say we're feeling a little somber. It's Memorial Day. I'm invited by an auntie, come and get some food and stuff. Holler at my uncle. So that'll be cool. Hopefully we get that done today. Get to travel a little bit. And that'll be great. It's Memorial Day. Before we start this off, say hello to everybody. And start this off with a prayer. God, we thank you for this day. God bless all of our ancestors. Bless everyone who has given them lives for your name. And for that, we can all exist here today as an opportunity to recognize our blessings and the gift of life. In Jesus' name, amen. Alright. So we got some prayer in. Sober Sunday with Fred and I. I still haven't decided to incorporate Fred yet. He's back there. I actually locked him away this time. Him and Blessings. Went on and closed the door. When I open the patio door, flies just invade the space. So I'll close the door and put a towel up under the door. Try to keep it a little sanitary or whatever here. So Fred and Blessings and Tiki, they in the back, chilling in the patio. As I've said, it's Memorial Day. I'm feeling a little somber. I don't think it's nothing in particular, like it's nothing bad that happened or anything like that. It's just, I think to some extent, the more I go on Facebook in particular, a lot of people express themselves on Facebook. You see a lot of things that people going through on Facebook. So I just want to send like a you are loved shout out to everybody on Facebook. Instagram is mostly visual pictures, but on Facebook you kind of get into people's stories, kind of get a glimpse into what they're actually going through in their life. And sometimes it's a lot. It's a lot. So I just pray for everybody that today they have a good day and enjoy their families and enjoy some good food. Try to eat as healthy as possible. Put some meat, put some vegetables with that meat. So, but enjoy yourselves. Everybody that lost some loved ones, all love and condolences to everybody that lost loved ones. You know, I guess that would go into grief and loss. And I'm sure from this point forward that if there's a title or whatever we come up with for the title of this episode, I'm sure it'll be relevant to grief and loss. I realize that I haven't really grieved. I haven't really grieved a lot. Not just my grandmother, but I haven't really grieved my grandmother. I know Fred hasn't really totally grieved my grandmother's passing. She was called to heaven in January 2021. There's a lot of grief. So everybody that's grieving, experience grief or loss, or haven't, tapped into it and allowed themselves to experience it. It can be a tough thing. I think a part of us knows that sometimes it can be dangerous. We can feel it, and we may not. We got to do it in a safe place. You don't want to really experience grief and loss in an environment that is not safe for that or comfortable for that. You bust out crying around the wrong person and they might laugh at you. They might not understand what you're going through or why you're crying, or even even somebody that wants to attend to you and help you through it. It may be hard for you to express to them what's going on with you, and it may leave them confused or feeling some kind of way because they're not able to understand what you're going through if you're not able to express it right at that time, which is very possible. Grief makes it hard to talk. One day I went to work at we got birds out singing, so that's good. It's early, 6:53. But went to work one day, Walmart. I got back in Walmart. I've since been fired. I got fired in February for my attendance. And I lasted about 6 months this time. But one day I went to work, man, and it was just heavy on me. Grandma was heavy on me. And I knew that as soon as I opened my mouth to talk to somebody, I might bust out crying. And when I felt it lasted for a while, say going into like 30 minutes to an hour of that feeling. Eventually I was like, you know what, I was trying to fight to stay at work that day, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to have to dip. And when I started considering leaving for the day, I realized that none of the managers, anybody that was on site that day, I didn't feel I wanted to speak to them about it. So I just kind of went and clocked out and eased on up out of there. I just eased up on out of there and hopped on the bus and came home. Maybe that was the day I could have let more of it out, but once I got here and got around Fred, I really still didn't process it fully. So I know a lot of people experiencing grief and loss on this Memorial Day. I ain't gonna go into no particular names and people, but it's people I've been seeing, I see on Facebook, people that I know growing up, have lost family members and children, mothers, sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, and it's just kind of a tough thing. Glad the AC went off. It's just kind of a tough thing. When I go on Facebook, I just see it kind of a lot. It's just there a lot. And then it's like kind of like, you could be scrolling and you can see somebody that you know or care about and their expression of certain grief. and you scroll down 2 posts later, and it's, just something different. It's a totally different message coming across. It's a totally different attitude coming across. Maybe it's just some, marijuana, weed smoking. Yeah, what up? Turn up. And then you scroll down, you see, pray for me. So sometimes I think it can play a part, man. Scrolling through Facebook, it can get into the subconscious. It can send a lot of mixed messages to a person that's, opening their eyes and they mind to see what's going on with people that they know on their timeline, and for it to kind of go from like condolences, turn up, graduation, fuck a hater, I love you, I hate relationships, oh, this my new boo. It could just get kind of chaotic on the mind and on the sensibility. So on this Memorial Day, we're gonna send this out to everybody that's experiencing grief and loss. That's, it's Memorial Day. It's Memorial Day. It crossed my mind as far as memorializing. Of course, we're gonna memorialize the soldiers. Memorialize all the soldiers, on every battlefront. On every battlefront, on every side. Because a lot of times they represent, a lot of indoctrination and stuff, and just going through the military training of whatever country they represent, regardless of what the leadership of that country represents at that time. As the soldiers, they just feel that they represent their folks. So all the soldiers at every side, and also memorial, throughout history, massacres. There's been many massacres. Memorialize them. Let's memorialize them as well. A lot of people died by hands of certain soldiers in certain wars that were civilians. A lot of this stuff with Ukraine, I don't necessarily really get into following it. Because, the medium of media, for me can be discouraging, and I'm untrusting of what I see on regular TV, ABC, CBS, NBC. I'm just reluctant. I'm reluctant to put trust and faith in what they tell me. So that's a definite. That's a definite. I'm definitely reluctant to put trust and faith in basic media. But throughout history, a lot of people have died at the hands of soldiers as well, whether it was by accident, mistake, or carelessness, or misguided leadership. Hate, animosity, fear, instinct, psychosis. Trauma. People on battlefronts. I'm sure I haven't been on a battlefront, so I ain't finna try to speak about it, in that sense, as if I know. But I can assume, it's trauma. There's trauma involved, so we want to memorialize them. The people who may have committed atrocities, that's, at whatever stage of their life or their existence, to where they need some forgiveness, some self-healing or whatever, maybe for their actions. Let's send our prayers to them. Send our prayers to them, that everybody find that healing. I was at church and somebody spoke about a shooting. I didn't get the time frame. I didn't get the exact location, but it was basically a milkman. He was, and I don't know if this story is true. It was told in church up on a pulpit by a member of the church to make a point about forgiveness. And so The milkman, he wasn't Amish, but he was delivering to the Amish community for however many years. Eventually, whatever happened in his life, he kind of snapped. He went into a certain building or business or whatever it was, killed a few people, and including children, and a member of the church explained how, within the story, that the members of that Amish community went straight to that dude's family and just shared love and spread love and put a bunch of forgiveness on them, on that family, on the mother of that individual, on the children of that individual. They just threw a bunch of love on them. And got me goosebumps. They just threw a bunch of love on them, and so much healing ended up taking place because once the media swooped in and they saw that the Amish, the members of that community who had suffered loss, were there forgiving that family. So there was no opportunity to demonize the person who committed that act. It put a layer of protection on the family to protect them from guilt and shame. It opened up communications that was based on love and forgiveness, and it just transformed the whole experience. There was still grief, there was still loss, but it just transformed the overall experience. And I'm sure after that person, he was gone already. Who knows how that may have affected his transition. So, and it was just a real powerful story about forgiveness and like immediate forgiveness, but and how we can blame victims. America, being in America, I believe that a lot of times America blames victims. When we don't fit into society, or we partake in certain types of activities, out of ignorance or fear or manipulation, and we end up in bad situations, and next thing and it is, too deep, but yeah, that shooter that did that was forgiven by that community, who knows what he was a victim of, whether it could have been abuse as a child. Maybe he saw families with children and he despised them because of how his childhood was. Who knows? So instead of blaming anybody, they just forgave everybody. They just put forgiveness out there. So put some forgiveness out there, amidst the grief and loss. Let's throw some forgiveness in there. So, so I think that's a good thing. Throw some forgiveness in there for sure. But grief and loss, Sober Sunday with Fred. Now we still sober. We still sober. We off coffee right now. We haven't had any energy drinks. We're working on tobacco. Got a little bit left. A couple cigarettes worth I could roll up. I ran out of it. I stopped buying packs. Bought a bag of tobacco. Bought some tubes and a slider where you can make your cigarettes. Save a lot of money. I know I wasn't gonna have no money these last 2 weeks. So it lasted me the 2 weeks. So it's pretty much crumbs left. No more rolling papers, no nothing. So hopefully that'll be a part of coming to a transition where I can go ahead and shake the cigarettes, as part of sobriety. Because tobacco, and especially tobacco in this modern day, is definitely a drug. It's definitely a drug. And speaking on grief and loss, and this being Memorial Day, I want to send love and yeah, I feel it. I want to send love to my father. Tobacco played a part in his passing. And throughout my life as smoking cigarettes, I've always been aware of that, and I've always tried to admit that, even amongst the addiction side of it and the choice to smoke, I know that that's true. That played a part in my father's passing. So, on this Memorial Day, I want to send love to my father. Say thank you, Pops. That you made sacrifices for us. All my brothers and sisters. that you love my mother and you loved us enough to sacrifice maybe a lot of things that you wanted to do, a lot of things that you wanted to experience in life. But I know for a fact that you sacrificed a lot to make sure we had food and the rent was paid. So I want to send a love and a respect to my father. My father named James. You know, and you read the book of James in the Bible, it's a lot like him. You know, just the lingo and the straightforwardness and, you know, of the book of James. So I have when I even posted a scripture from James on there. It's always been a powerful book. It's one of them books, man, you go reading James, it's like it throw it right in your face. Like, fool, do the work. Be not a hearer of the word, but a doer. You know, stuff like that. So on this Memorial Day, I send my love and my respect and my admiration to my father. And I say thank you, Pops, for the sacrifices you made and that you live in our hearts and our minds continually. And even though you hadn't reached the point where you had like fully overcame alcohol or tobacco, you know, and I'm a continuation and an extension of you. So even on this podcast, representing sobriety and working towards getting off of that stuff, you know, that you know, that energy, that magnetism that unites our souls and our minds, you know, that I can play a part in transforming that in our eternal selves. So thank you for being a part of creating me, you know. And thank you, Mama, for, you know, hanging out with Pops. You know, yeah. So I don't know how we're gonna do. You know, we want to get also on the lighter note. We want to get a little more expansive with our podcast and be able to throw some music in there every once in a while. You know, so we got some you know, we've been you know, just getting our computer, you know, just organizing some files. You know, we're gonna start get a little more organized so we can have pictures and, you know, things we want to share. Eventually get into being able to screen share, you know, some things, go on YouTube, you know, maybe do some commenting or sharing of certain content. So that's definitely a good thing. Right now I'm on a computer. I'm trying to see if I can get to where we can include in the Windows Media Player some other folders that contain some music. So that's what I'm doing over here. Can't be included because it's on a removable device. Okay, so that makes sense. So we'll deal with that later. We ain't gonna go into that right now. But we do got some other music. Let's see, what is this? I'm not even sure what this is. It might be Rap Trap. Oh, this the CD. Oh, this is Randy Crawford. It's a CD in the computer. Happy Memorial Day, y'all. We're gonna take a little break. As you move across the southern sky, you took my baby way too soon. What have you done? Can't you move? Someday, baby, when you want your man and you find him gone, just like the wind, don't trouble your mind, whatever you do, 'cause Cajun Moon took him from you. Cajun That's right. That is Randy Crawford. She is the singer. You would know her from Street Life. That's the only life I know. Street Life. Yeah, so a lot of people know that song. So yeah, that's Randy Crawford. I got the CD. That was my morning CD. When I was driving to work, that was my morning CD. It's some classics. That's Randy Crawford, Naked and True. That's the album. And in a lot of ways, it's like a lot of cover songs. What I realized, like, you got Purple Rain in there. You know, Holding Back the Years. I know Simply Red that made that song. I don't know who the original was by, but Holding Back the Years. It's some classics in there. That's a classic CD. Matter of fact, hold on. What we're gonna do here? We're gonna flash the CD on the Facebook Live. Let's see. Let's get this right here. Boing boing. Randy Crawford, Naked and True. That's the CD that just played. So it just said audio or whatever, and I just click play. And come to find out, Cajun Moon. It's one of them, man. I still wonder exactly. It's one of the ones that you could analyze. Like, you can go into the words to that song, the lyrics. You probably could just analyze it. Like, what really is she talking about? Cajun Moon, where does your power lie as you move across the southern sky? Anyway, I ain't gonna try to be singing too much. I don't want to torture y'all ears. So I'm glad that came on. It's obviously a song about loss as well. So thank you, God, for, throwing that into the playlist or whatever. Much appreciated. Like I said, we're just, just getting this, just getting things together, man. Just getting things together. Let's go to manage libraries. I got a folder on here. That's on my desktop, so I want to get that included in my library. So let me see how I get that included in the library. Let's see, we'll go to users. Okay. Desktop. Include folder. Okay, so it's going to import this folder from off the desktop. That way we can get that music as well. So we expanding the podcast. We're expounding upon the podcast and including music in a little more professional way. So we working on it. Every time, like I say, the only goal with the podcast is that it get better. I'm not going to judge myself for any particular episodes. The only really goal is that each episode gets better. And that we consistently have an episode every week. That's another aspect. That it gets better and that it gets better every week. That's the main thing. So let's see what music we got here. See how is this organized. Oh man. Okay, so let's see if we can find another song on here that, Memorial Day. Let's figure this out. Let's see what music I got on here. And this is studio music. Like I said, I haven't really got into. Ooh, I don't want to mess up my podcast. They go to blocking. So I guess it's still commentary. I don't know how that works, man. I don't want to mess up the one second. The folder show no one previously shared. Okay, so like I said, I don't want to put the episode at risk by playing somebody's music. By playing, which is obviously copyrighted music. This is studio music. But I'm not making a podcast just about that. It is part of commentary. I do not own the rights to this music. How does that work? I'm not sure exactly. We got some Kim on here. We got Anita Baker on here. We got Marvin Gaye. We got some more Randy Crawford. We got DMX. We got Frankie Beverly and Maze. Man, I ain't gonna lie. I wouldn't mind throwing that on there. Maybe we could throw it in the background. Let's see if we got California on here. Oh, we don't have California on here. Let's go here for a minute. It's Memorial Day. It's Memorial Day, so we gonna do it. We ain't gonna just play the song. It ain't like just, I don't know, ASCAP or whatever. Hopefully it's all good. You know what I'm saying? That we don't lose our episode or whatever, or, once I upload it or whatever. But it's Memorial Day. Like I say, it's a personal public journal. This is a tool for personal growth and public engagement. So God bless me, to be able to use it to develop a smile and develop a smile in our hearts and in my heart. As an individual, but if anybody could participate and, get into a certain part, then purpose served. Pacify my heart while I'm alone. I don't like being alone. Things we did this time above we've never done before. Made some changes in my head, I don't feel the same no more. Tell me it's not making this feeling that you show. Comfort in my love while I'm alone. I don't like being alone. Man, it's Memorial Day. I'm alone right now. I'm gonna see some family. Burning up inside. Something I can't see no more. A night for my foolish pride. Please let me all the time when you're home. Pacify my heart while I'm alone. I don't like being alone. I don't like being alone. I can't stand it. Being alone. Oh baby, oh It's Memorial Day, man. We got a lot of loss, a lot of grief, a lot of loss. Grandmama, Pops, Junior boy. Mighty, all the homies rest in peace, all the Black Panthers, all the revolutionaries, George Jackson, George Floyd, all the recent murders and massacres, the kids in their Catholic churches, up in those Catholic schools up in Canada, where they finding mass graves of Native American children, massacred and murdered by the Catholic Church to kill a culture. So thank you, Frankie. That's that Frankie Beverly and Mays. While I'm alone. It's Memorial Day and it's a trip because I didn't even expect that, you know. I'm glad we kind of organized the computer a little bit and got some files and things together, you know, and yeah, before I let go, you know what I mean? So, you know, to have access to this music in a little more efficient way. I don't, like I said, the sound quality, I see it on the playback, you know what I mean? I'm going to get more up on the editing phase of things as well. You know, just get my workflow or whatever together so that we can put out. Like, it's on live right now, you know, but I'm gonna still re-edit it, probably re-upload it, you know. So even episode 1, you know, so people getting together. Out here, you might hear some noise outside, but let's go back to the album. Let's see what we got in here, man. You know what I mean? This is Memorial Day. This is Memorial Day, so. How you gonna? So I ain't got no barbecue, no food cooking. I got some breakfast. I'm gonna throw that breakfast in there. I gotta get some food. Yeah, definitely. Like I say, these people out here, they just you know, doing their morning maintenance outside, so we might hear some noise. Let's see. Let's see. Uh-oh. I don't know if I'm gonna play the whole song, but we're gonna see how it goes. It's a classic. This is my girl. What a man. Sade. Oh, man. Just an angel, man. Strong and tender. Sade, I do. In the middle of the madness, and the time is running out, and you're left alone. All I wrote is you to know that stronger still can pull us apart. Nothing can come, nothing can come. We know what's up with that. You know what I mean? That's bona fide. That's bona fide right there. But I'm finna hit you with another one, man. That it took me a while to really but just to really realize the song. You know, it's like we hear songs and sometimes at a certain moment, at a certain place, a certain time, during a certain experience, we hear that same song and then it'll just open up to us. And it was a song that we probably had kind of skip or go to the one we mostly listen to or the ones we really, really like and familiar with. But then that day, that song will open up, and one day this song right here opened up for me. And this is from Sade, man. So, and this is Memorial Day, so this is perfect. Uh-oh. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. Everybody love. I'm finna go get Fred.
I've lost the use of my heart.
Oh no! Oh! wait. All right, let's pause it. Okay, when I went to get Fred, oh man, we gotta be careful, y'all. When I went to get Fred, a thing popped up said blocked. It said I'm using music that belongs. Man, the analytical abilities of these videos and these softwares and these apps is so powerful that it's dangerous. To be able to recognize that's like Shazam and all that. You could pick up stuff, so you know what I mean? It's just so crazy. It's just so crazy. But I'm glad we got it. But that was Sade's Soldier of Love. So if you want to go back and do it or whatever, it's all good. Like I said, I don't want to lose the podcast because I'm playing music. But I got to maybe watch some videos and stuff about podcasting and really find out, what's the protocols and stuff for that. So, but we do got Fred here. What up, Federico? Come here, man. Come here, Fred. Let me hop up there. Let's. What up, bro? Let's see. Let me push this back. Oh, let's push this back. Over my little couch, I ain't too, I get to see how I'm living and everything, man. We gotta make do, man. This couch, I bought this couch as a 2-piece. I bought this couch for $25 from a thrift store that is owned and operated, I guess to say, by a community organization out here in Phoenix called Teen Challenge. The name is kind of throws you off because Teen Challenge, but they are a bona fide recovery organization, community resource. They do a lot in the community. There's been times I was getting off of work and I see them in some parking lot somewhere. And Teen Challenge, they'll be passing out food, just blessing people, praying over people, and they have a thrift store. I believe it's more than one. I'm not sure. I'll have to put a link eventually I'll put a link in the YouTube video or somewhere. I'll put a link to Teen Challenge. But that's why I got this couch, $25. It's a 2-piece, man. This motherfucker like splits apart. You know what I mean? What up, Fred? How you doing, bro? What up, man? This is your first time on. You live on TV, man. We got like 10 more minutes, 5 more minutes. Well, we got Fred up in here. Blessings. Come here, blessings. 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 Come here, baby. Come here, girl. Come here. Trying to be all tigerish and stuff. Come here. Get up here. Say hi to the cameras. This is Blessings. This is Fred. You know what I mean? We got them in the hens house. I don't have the tortoise. I'm going to have to find Tiki. I don't know where he at right now. And I don't. Hey, what you doing? Don't be getting all personal because Fred, you know what I mean? Fred all super chill. What? You tripping on? What you tripping on, homegirl? What you tripping on? Yeah, so this is a family. Like I said, we got one more member of the family, Tiki. What is you doing, homegirl? Now that we want to get on video, you want to turn into a porn star? What the hell wrong with you? Man, what's up with her, man? They're like, man, she just trying to understand. That's all. So it's all good. This is our first time we got Fred in the building. You know what I mean? This look kind of nice too, man. This is kind of a nice little scenery or whatever. Let's see, let's go that way. Get that little green in there. That thing look kind of nice. Oh no, now she want to come and start trouble, huh? She growing up, man. She getting bigger. Come here. She like, what you know you love Fred, but I want some attention too. So happy Memorial Day, y'all. We're gonna start bringing this to a close. Oh no, we lost our light. The cat tripping. Let's plug our light up. Booyah. Let's put it right over here then. It's the Wild Wild West. Alright, we got our light back. Fred went on and jumped down. He down here, so at least we got him into the episode for Memorial Day a little bit. Fred, come here, man. Let me see. You kind of big, man. Damn. What you weigh, like 50, 60 pounds, Fred? Damn. No, you like 25. What up, bro? Fred, like, man, you know, I'll be sitting in your lap, nigga. Yeah, I'll do it for a minute. Come here, Blessings. She wanna come up here. She a boy mine. I can say, come here, Blessings. Come here, Blessings. Come here. I can see she looking bigger, like she growing up. Sometimes I just see how she's going from kitten to cat. You know what I mean? Come here, Blessings. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Happy Memorial Day from our family. Thank you, Grandma. Thank you, Pops. Annabelle, James. Many others. Too many to name. Hey. Okay, go ahead. Y'all gonna do your thing. They ain't really trying to be on the video right now. I think this is kind of the scenery got a little better. They helped me position this camera and stuff a little better, I guess. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll definitely keep that in mind. But thank y'all for joining us on this Sober Sunday. But this time Memorial Day Monday. Matter of fact, I can still play my own music. Hold up, let's get our own music cracking, man. Let's get our own music cracking, man. Let's see. Hold up, let's get up in here. Let's get up in here. Hold up, we got at least our intro music. We got some other songs and stuff we'll eventually be able to play, but we for sure got this one. Bless you, whoever you are. And again, oh, we got a few songs up in here. We got the all right, this one we ain't gonna go into that one yet. We're gonna go into this one. This our outro. It's our outro. Yeah, it better not say this somebody music. Yeah, this GRN music. Good Revolutionary Natural, Guerrilla Rap Nation, Black Riders Liberation Party, Army Stress, Taco. You know what I mean? This is original music. It's our outro music. It ain't even fully edited. Thanks for joining. See y'all next week. Enjoy your holidays. Be safe. I know a lot of people gonna be drinking and having fun, but be safe, be careful. You are loved. We out.